with Prolific, both podcasts. We're happy to welcome Sherry Comstock here today, all the way from Burlington, North Carolina. Of course, I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, so we're just shouting over the airwaves. So welcome, Sherry. So good to have you here today.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate being here.
Thank you. It's kind of nice today, but I think the raindrops have let up a little bit, so maybe it won't get too wet on us while we're talking. So we'll see what happens. Sherry just
Okay.
published this book called Riptides. It got the beautiful cover. Whoops, can't really see it. There we go. And so when did this come out?
September,
September. Well,
mid-September.
congratulations. I
Thank
love
you.
this beautiful cover design. Is that one of your photographs?
No,
No?
nope. Um, all the covers for this series are similar. Um, and I bought them all from iStock.
Well, great choice, great choice.
Yeah,
So it's a common theme.
yeah, I wish I was that gifted a photographer, but I'm not.
Me neither, but that's okay. We all have our gifts.
Yeah,
Exactly. And if we could do it all ourselves, then it would be kind of a boring life, I think.
I think so. It's fun to look at all the pictures,
Yeah.
you know.
So how long have you been working on this series?
Since I think I published the first one in 2023. I've been writing since, when I retired from nursing. So, I think I published my memoir in 2022.
Mhm. Your memoir is about your life or about your career? Tell us about
About
that.
my life. It's called A Crazy Quilt Life, and it really started because my children, who at that time were my youngest children, were approaching the 30s, and they were like, "Mom, why don't you ever tell stories about your childhood?" And I'm like, "Well, we didn't do anything exciting, you know. It was my mom and four children, and she, we were just working to get by." And needless to say, they didn't let up. And so I started telling them some things, and I had joined the Burlington Writers Club and was in a critique group, and the kids are like, "Well, you should write these down." And my critique group is going, "Well, you ought to write more of these and put them in a book." So that's how I got into publication, really.
And the critique group, are you still a member of that group?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. What does the critique group do? What's it like to go into it? I think it's scary for some people to go into a critique group. It was for
It
me the
is.
first time.
Yes. In the beginning, it was. But the critique group I'm in now, we meet twice a month. We email whatever we're working on. I'd have to say with this group is mostly nonfiction and fiction. Um, we have a few days to go over it. We make comments, on the work, send it back to the author, and then when we meet, we'll talk about it. There's six people in this group, so um, each of us presents once a month. But I have learned more in the critique group, um, or as much as workshops and conferences I've attended. We have a good group of women writers. Some of us have published, some have not. Um, but everything is done um, with kindness. We're, if something's not working, if we're confused about a passage, we'll say so, we'll talk about it. Um, but the idea is to help the writer grow in the craft. But like I say, everything's done with kindness. There's no, yeah, no snarkiness.
Good, good. Yeah, I belonged for a while. I attended a critique group. It was kind of hard to get into, so you could kind
Hmm.
of catch as catch can kind of
Yeah.
group. It's first come, first served, but it really helped me with it was a poetry critique group, and it
Yeah.
really helped me learn a few things about my work. And it's a very brave thing when you go in there because you don't know what you're going to be up against. And it
Yeah.
was just kindness and helpfulness, and everybody critiqued everybody, so it was all fair. Um,
Right. Right.
it was timed, so you got this much time, and that was your focus. You were the star of that 15 minutes, and you go
Right.
back and forth. And boy, did it help me. It really got me over some humps. And I've been writing poetry for years, and it got me over some things to help me understand some things better.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I think with my group, if I could point to one thing, it would be um, l learning to write dialogue that sounds realistic, you
Mhm.
know, um, and to kind of work that in. I do a lot of plot advancement through dialogue, but also like painting a picture of where people are and what's happening while they're talking.
I noticed that when you started to read the Riptides book, how you kept things going through the dialogue. You told a lot of information the reader needed to know in the very first chapter. And I
Hmm.
was really impressed by that.
Oh, thank you.
And you kept it moving along. And I'm the type of person that I move through a book. I read a lot. And so I move through books pretty
Uh-huh.
quickly. And I don't spend a lot of time trying to figure things out. And it's like the time I got through the first chapter, that's pretty well sorted about what was going to be happening, where we're going to go to the
Uh-huh.
next step. So great job that you've done with moving that
Oh,
forward.
well,
So
thank you. Thank you.
yeah, it's a
And I,
talent.
oh, thanks. Thanks. It, I know I find, I read a lot, I read a lot also, and different genres. I have to admit that in the last 4 years, 3 or 4 years, I've read more fiction than I used to. I used to be kind of evenly split between fiction and nonfiction, memoir. Um, and sometimes um, I really like um, authors with more of a literary bent, but I've learned from talking to different people and reading different things that a lot of times people don't like a lot of exposition. So I try to, that's where I fell into the thing of, okay, let's figure out how to do this with dialogue,
Yeah.
you know.
I think dialogue can take a person to location as well. If you
Hmm.
have a certain culture or a certain area. I'm working on a story now, and it's based in the Midwest. And so I'm familiar with the Midwestern dialogue because I lived there
Hmm.
a pretty good chunk
Right,
of my life. I live in the South now, and I've picked up on a lot of the Southern ways, and plus I had a Southern
right.
mother. And
Yeah.
so I find that, depending on where I'm going, I could pick up that dialogue and get it going. And I love doing it.
Yeah,
It's a
I
lot of
do
fun.
too. It is, it is, it is.
Mm.
Yeah.
I've taken characters up to Appalachia area, and I've never been to the Appalachian Mountains, not in all the where people live, just driven
Well,
around and past it. But you pick
yeah,
up different things in movies and things like that, and that
you
voice
do.
starts talking to you when you're writing, and it comes through with your characters. It's so
Right. You
fun.
do. It is. It is.
I
It is
like that you
funny.
said that you read a lot, because I think that's what makes a good writer.
I think so. I think it would be hard if you didn't. Um, and that's part of why I write, try to include some of the themes I do, is because I remember as a child, um, I would just go into the library. And when I was younger, I would be like, okay, where are the biographies? I mean, this is a specific memory. Um, when I was in elementary school. And I just started with the A's and kept reading, and then I got older and I would run out of things to read. So I would just ask the librarian, what's a good book? What should I read? You know. So, but in doing that, I think, if you're one of the great things about writing is if people read the stories, however, in whatever genre, you learn that other things are possible, you know, um, that there are other ways to live. And I think that's important, you know.
And you can kind of live in that imaginary world for a while, somebody else's world.
Yes, yes, yeah. I'm very bad. I can sit. It's one of the wonderful things about being retired. I can now actually sit and read as long as I want to, you know.
Yeah, well, that is one of the benefits, and people, I don't understand the really the meaning of the word bored. I don't know what what boredom is. As long as I have a
No,
book.
as long as I have a book, you know. And these days, um, I just find I look at something and I'm making up a story. It may not come to anything. I mean, I've been a long time people watcher. And so, it's like, I always imagine stories about people I see and their interactions, why they might be acting this way or not.
Same here. I've noticed in coffee shops, I get some of the best subjects, best characters from
Yes.
observing people in the
Hmm.
shop. I've picked up on conversations that people had and noted them and used them, and you know, pretty
Yep.
inspiring in a lot of ways. So,
It is. It is. It's quite inspiring. And it just gets
so
your head going, you
what
know.
made you decide to start publishing your work? What was the turning point for you?
Well,
I know you said your
um,
family encouraged you to write.
they encouraged me to write it down, and then I was like, well, I wrote it, and um, I'm a member of the Burlington Writers Club, and several members had already published, and we talked together a lot. And they're like, "Oh yeah, you can do this. This is not hard, you know. You just do X, Y, Z." And my first thought was that I would just publish the memoir and give copies to my children.
Right.
I really didn't think in terms of selling books or anything like that. Um, but then um, a great friend, um, writer, said, Sherry, I'm going to do this event at, I didn't remember which one was our first one. She says, why don't you bring your memoir? You might, you have copies. Um, it's on this date. Come sell some. So I did. And while I was writing the memoir, um, this Callie story sort of started rolling around in my head. And I had started writing that. And I thought, oh, well, if I do well selling these others, maybe I'll just publish it. And so I wrote the first book, Against the Tide. By this time, by the time I published it, it was getting ready for Christmas, um, or near Christmas. And my friend and I went out to the Saks holiday market. And I did well selling two books, you know. And there was a group of us that, split the fee because space at Saks Hall Market is really expensive, but splitting it made it much easier, much more affordable. So that's how the publication part started. You Um, in terms of self-publishing, I was like, okay, I am 60 something years old. I do know enough that to really get in the door with a publisher, I need to find an agent. Agents cost money, you know. Um, and then I have to wait on everybody else, for my agent to decide. You find them, then you got to wait for them to present your book. And um, I've always been a very curious person, and I try to. So I just started reading, you know. I started reading Jane Friedman and a couple of others. And I'm like, okay, this takes a while. You know what? I published one book, I self-published one book, so I will do another. Um, and I publish on Kindle Direct and with Ingram Spark.
Have you done?
Um, yeah, I don't, I put them on Kindle um, just because that's a different market.
Right,
Uh, I like Ingram Spark. One, I find for me, and maybe it's because I started out that way, or shortly after I started out that way, I find it easier to get a professional looking book. Um, front matter that's right, the back, the book looking like a professional publication.
right.
Um, you know, the cost of publishing or the cost of printing is not that different. Probably Ingram Spark is a little more expensive by dimes. Um, but I mean, that's the path I chose. And I mean, it's not like, yes, you have to do all your marketing, all your promotion yourself, come up with where you're going to, what sort of events you're going to do, um, how many of them. But I mean, even if you have, I have writer friends who have published through small presses, but they still, unless they hire a publicist, have to do all of that stuff themselves still yet. So I'm like, okay, you know, I'll figure it out. So it's been a kind of learning as I go,
Right.
you know, but I have a lot of fun doing it.
That's the important thing is that you're enjoying it. And you're retired now, so you should be trying to enjoy life and you enjoy writing and talking about books and reading, so you're getting to have the best of everything.
That's it. That's it. I don't
That's
know what I
nice.
would do if I wasn't writing. I really, like I say, I kind of fell into it, but and it was at a time when I was like, okay, I've retired, so what do I do? You know, and
Yeah.
I did work very part-time for a little while, not long, um, maybe about 6, 8 months. Um, but I was like, and I mean, I was a nurse. I was busy. I was a nurse. I with 4 kids. I was accustomed to being busy, but I've learned to do this um, with some balance. Um, do the work of it, do the fun part of it, and still take time off to enjoy my yard or visit or just read a book.
Right. You're absolutely right when you're talking about even if you go through an agent or, you still have to be the one marketing your book. The
Yeah.
reality, I have a small press, and one of the things that I tell, my clients is that
Hmm.
up front, I need to know what your marketing plan is. I'll get it
Yeah.
started, and
Yeah.
I do a lot of supportive things to help them, like, give them a
Right.
web page and that. But ultimately, they're the ones that have to go out there and sell their book, you
Yeah.
know, so, um, and by self-publishing, and you can keep your proceeds from your book. So there's an
Exactly.
advantage there,
Yeah.
of that. Um, what
Definitely.
service I offer is to put things together and organize it and create a book that
Hmm.
everybody's happy with. Um, but yeah, you're going to get you're going to get royalties.
Right.
And even as a publisher, we don't really make a lot off of the profit of the book either, because the
No.
overhead we absorb. But
Right. Right.
and then hiring a publicist is very expensive.
It's very expensive.
And the
Expensive.
funny thing is, the publicists, what do? They do a lot of good things, because I'm in touch with a lot of publicists. But one of the things
Mm.
that I do frequently for publicists is podcast their
Yeah.
authors. So
Uh-huh.
I'm providing a service for them. I don't charge them for that.
Right.
Maybe I should, but I don't.
Uh-huh.
Some people will. And um, but to self-publish, I don't see any problem with that if people want to self-publish a book. I think it's
Yeah.
grand. I've got somebody I'm on, not as part of my business per se, like not under my
Hmm.
press, but as a sidebar,
Right.
helping somebody set up their own publishing company.
Yeah.
Because they want to do their own thing. I don't have a
Wow.
problem doing that. Um,
Right.
but to help people to become as independent as possible.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
You know.
Have you had opportunities to, or had people ask you, I guess I should say, about teaching them how to self-publish? You have like maybe a group that you talk shop with?
Um, a couple of years ago, I did a presentation for our writers club on how to self-publish,
Great.
you know. Um, and the um, pros and cons of each. Of course, the main ones that are ones I know the most about are Kindle Direct and Ingram Spark. But there are others out there now. I don't know much about them. You know, um, I did do. I have started doing a workshop on memoir writing. Um, I did the first of those back in August of this year. Um, Pretty well received. So,
Nice.
yeah, I might look at doing that again,
That's
offering it.
great. People
Yeah,
need to understand about writing memoirs and what to really be looking for and how to focus on them. So that's a
yeah.
wonderful, ability to be
How
able to
to
do that.
Yeah, I like a lot of what I like to do is I also host um a weekly writers cafe here in Burlington at Persnickety Books. Um, because I really um like to try and give a sense of community for writers here. And yes, we have the Writers Club and we have a lot of members. But for one reason or another, maybe the club isn't quite your thing. Um, and also, like, the club does a lot with poets, but they'd never done much with prose writers. So, not that you can't go and come um, to the Writers Cafe, but part of it was just to help people realize, that, all right, so you're writing, however you're doing it, you write longhand, laptop, whatever device you want to use. Um, and for some people, one of the big stumbling blocks is just carving out that time. They're like, okay, I'm busy. I don't have time for this. Um, but I know from my beginning stages that once you build that habit, it's easier to keep writing, you know. And it's a nice sense of camaraderie. We get together, we actually write. Um, like first thing we come in, we get coffee, you know, do a short catch up from last week. We work. Somebody has a question, we take a break. You know, people will ask anything, um, things about description or about dialogue. And we talk about that and we go back to work and we spend a couple of hours every Wednesday writing, you know. So I just think it's important to have a lot of what writers do is alone, you know, um, whether we're researching or actually writing it, the work. Um, so I think it's important to have community. So it's like, okay, there are other people who are doing this. Oh, look, she's published books and she's having trouble. I'm not alone.
Exactly.
You know.
That's very important. I have connected with a local publisher, a fellow publisher that we are actually getting together tomorrow to
Mhm.
Thursday and go over some things and talk shop. And I find
Yeah.
that to be very helpful to have found somebody else in around this area that we can sit down face to face and talk about
Oh, yeah.
troubles that we're having and how to resolve them and really helping each other out. It's a wonderful, wonderful blessing to have that.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. I think
Yeah.
so.
Well, Ingram Spark is the one that we use in our publishing
Okay.
company as well. I love Ingram Spark. I find them very user friendly, very
I do
professional.
too. And I like the idea of them being more of a distributor, you know,
Mhm.
and there are different levels that you can take, excuse me, that you can take that. So sorry. Um, whether you buy, like, even with Kindle, you can buy ads, you can do different things to, get your work exposed more.
Mhm.
Um, but I do like it. I do like it a lot. It's my favorite.
Yeah, we use the KDP for the ebooks, for the
Uh-huh.
Kindle Unlimited. And then
Yeah.
for our print books, we go through Ingram Spark. I've used others. I've used Lulu. I think Lulu's very user friendly too. And
Hmm.
it has certain qualities that I find would probably be good for somebody that's transitioning from maybe Amazon, but doesn't want to go to the Ingram Spark, but kind of wants an in between. It's a good go
Okay.
between. And then they
All
have
right.
certain products that are unique to them, but their ebooks are not as um, quite compatible as the Kindles are. People that are used to using a Kindle have a
Hmm.
hard time downloading, other, from Lulu, but I find them
Right.
easy to download, but some people that are not real computer savvy are not quite as
Right.
adept at that. So that's
Right.
okay. So I found
Yeah.
that it's easier just to stick with KDP. Yeah.
Yeah. The nice thing about I publish my ebooks on both
Mhm.
um, because it opens up more markets.
Mhm.
Then you can, because with KDP, all you've got is Kindle.
Mhm.
But with Ingram, Apple, Nook, there's another one I forget the name of,
Right.
you know, um, and I have sold ebooks that way.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's what I found with the Apple is Lulu was more friendly with that
oh,
application.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
All
Yeah.
right.
So that was one of the advantages of Lulu there. In fact, I started using it for an ebook for a specific client that wanted to
Uh-huh.
be sure it was accessible through their Apple device. So I said,
Okay.
well, let me do some research, and then I said, well, let's go with Lulu to test drive that for that, and it worked out fine.
Uh,
But I ended up going back to KDP. But the only thing is, if you're in the unlimited program, you can't use the other stuff. But if you don't use unlimited, then you still have the freedom to
that's
use the
yes.
others.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
That's
just
what.
one of the little tricks of the game.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm like, okay, nope. We will
Um,
not click that.
How many more books of the series do you have? Do you have this all
Uh,
laid out as to how many you're going to do with the Riptide series or whatever
I
you
do.
Riptide series?
I'm working on the last one now.
And what's it called?
Ebb tide.
Riptide. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I kind of yeah, I got into this tide thing mainly because when I was writing the first book, um, you remember the Bob Seger song Against the Wind?
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, that's what I kept thinking about. Okay, that's what this young woman was. I'm like, well, you can't use that title for the title of your book. I'm sure there's some kind of so it became Against the Tide. And so every book then just, like, okay, what kind of tide fits this? I don't know.
I
Riptides
think
works for
that
the middle.
that's probably a good idea, although I think you can use a song title for your title, but because there's certain title copyrights that can't be bothered. But yeah, I would
Right.
probably be on the safe side to come up with
Yeah.
something different. But I think you've got a good flow going to, pardon the pun, of using this tide theme. I think it
Yeah.
probably emphasizes the storyline really well.
I think so. I tried to like, okay,
Mhm. It's really
this is
clever.
it.
You have other plans for other kinds of books coming up?
Um, there's another book. There's another character sort of rattling around in my head. This is what they do. And I'm thinking of mysteries. I wrote a short story, a mystery short story, and I liked it. Um, it my style would fall somewhere between um, cozy mystery and I don't like a lot of gore. Okay, so if I had to, but not really police procedural either. but this woman, private investigator, is rattling around. So I just keep making notes about her. Um, but that'll be set um, essentially in present day. I'll not go back to the historical novel thing, uh, at least not for a while. I don't think so.
I think historical novels have that particular niche is actually quite popular.
Yeah,
But then you have to kind of narrow it down a little bit into certain areas of focus. So it gets a little bit, complex, you
it
know.
does. It does. And I mean, my first two anyway, the prequel and the first book are actually historical, but by the time we get to the second book, it's not present day, but it's only 10, 15 years or so, not quite the 30. And definitely the third book is not. The third book will go through COVID and stop just short of the present.
Sounds good. I look forward to hearing about your new books coming out
Oh,
and
thank you.
you know, you're publicizing it. I'm sure I'll be hearing about it through the Burlington Writers Club. So
Oh, yeah. You'll hear through the newsletter, and um, I have the website, I blog, I post fairly frequently on Facebook and Instagram. I don't bother with the others too much. Those two are enough.
yeah.
You know.
Which of the social media outlets do you think is the most beneficial for publicizing your book?
Hmm. Probably, probably Facebook.
Mhm.
Um, I used to, and I used to put up more stuff on LinkedIn, but I just didn't like the feel of what I was getting back from it. I got more unsolicited offers for,
Me
you know,
too.
so I'm just like, okay, no, I mean, I know you got to do your thing, but, you know, so I just quit posting. I just, there are a couple of poets I follow, and, I follow a few people, but I don't really post on it anymore.
Yeah. I find Instagram, the way I have set it up is
Hmm.
Instagram feeds over to Facebook. So when I post on Instagram, it automatically will go over to Facebook and share my information over there. So, and then also in Instagram, if I um make anybody a collaborator, like with the authors, I might make them
Uh,
a collaborator, if they'll post something, make me a collaborator. So that if you accept that, I not only goes to, my people, it goes to their people, so
right.
that you get more
You get
expansion
more
that
expense.
way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've got
That's,
one now that we're watching. It's like over 8,000 people that have been reached by one post.
wow.
That's just circulated over and over again from all the
Uh-huh.
shares and stuff. So that's pretty phenomenal. It's rare to
That
see that
is.
happen.
That is.
But a lot of people are
Yeah.
finding out about, certain books and that. Um, but it's a constant thing. You got to be on top of it all the
You
time.
have to.
Yeah.
Um, I finally learned that what works best for me is if I just plan a day,
Mhm.
um, where that's what I'm going to do. Like I
Right.
prefer, I mean, I would really rather be writing the
Mhm.
story, most days, but um, because of my career, and and having four children, I was always a planner, because I wanted to be, you've got to be at work, but I want to be at their events. So, I yeah. Uh, so I will plan a day and be like, okay, this is my social media day,
Right.
and I will stack my.
Carrie, it's been great talking with you today. I've really enjoyed this.
I have
Thank,
enjoyed it so much.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
And
Good.
one of these days I'll get to the Burlington Writers Club. I am a member, but I just haven't gotten to a meeting
No,
yet, but you never know.
you never know. And I hope we just changed our location, and I'm having a little trouble with the Wi-Fi there, but we should this November be able to offer the Zoom option. We do that. As president, I'll send out an email and say if you want to Zoom, if you want a Zoom link, let me know.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about that option.
That's okay. I understand it. I understand it.
But Sherry's been great. Thank you so much for coming on here today. Best
Oh,
wishes with Riptides and your next one coming out.
thank you so much, Lisa. It
You
was
have a
great being
nice
here.
holidays coming up and enjoy.
All right, you too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye now.